What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn states that the Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury potential fight will not be in the UK, but instead it will be in Saudi Arabia. And the reason for this is because he stated that the Saudis, of course, will add or will offer twice as much money as they would in the UK. Therefore, the fight will be hosted in Saudi Arabia for those reasons. Now, business-wise, it's a smart thing to do. Morally, it's terrible. And for a lot of reasons, I'm going to explain why. Okay, Eddie Hearn, we know he is a promoter. We know he is a opportunist. Okay, when the Anthony Joshua versus Andy Ruiz rematch was presented and it was offered by Saudi Arabia, he did not hesitate because he knew they were going to offer $40 million. Okay, Anthony Joshua received $85 million, Andy Ruiz received $13 million, and I think both of those fighters are very, very happy because of that. Now, in other interviews, Eddie Hearn, the first thing, or one of the things he said, well, you know, I'm not only driven by money. Money isn't the only thing that drives me. It's not that, it's not an important factor to, like, people think. And the first time I heard it, I'm like, okay, bullshit, you know, because that's what you do. You specialize in finding the best opportunity to make the most money. That's the only reason it was in Saudi Arabia. You know, damn women's rights, damn all the rights of other people all around the world. No, it's going to happen in Saudi Arabia. So people, for the time being, are going to abide by the laws in Saudi Arabia while this fight takes place because we're going to make this money, says Eddie Hearn. Okay? He was willing to take Andy Ruiz to court if Andy Ruiz was trying to back out of that rematch contract, saying, I don't trust it over there, I have no protection over there, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that, but it still got done. Nonetheless, if you guys can remember that, and he obeyed that contract. Why? Because Eddie Hearn wouldn't BSing around. Okay? He wasn't playing about where that fight was going to be because of the money. So stop saying, me counterpunching Eddie Hearn, stop saying, oh, the money is not a defining factor. It's not the only thing. You know, I'm not driven. This is what he said. This is his words exactly. I'm not driven by money. Bullshit. Stop saying you're not driven by money. Because when an opportunity presents itself, you know the Saudi Arabians had that money. You were ready to go. Okay? And that actually planted a seed for this particular comment. Okay, so he knows if the rematch between Anthony Joshua and Andy Ruiz if that rematch can be held in Saudi Arabia for all that money, do you understand? He knows what a Tyson Fury fight versus Anthony Joshua fight will do in Saudi Arabia. They can make twice as much as the money, just like he said it in the interview. You can make twice as much money if you would in London. That's why it won't be in London. Okay, so he's starting big. Okay, instead of having the fight in London and the rematch happen in Saudi Arabia. No. He's not doing any of that. What he's doing is, no, I know the Saudis are going to pay, and I've already worked with the Saudis because he likes the success and the pay increase of the fight in Saudi Arabia. Therefore, it's in Saudi Arabia, solely based or driven on money. So that's that. Okay. So, you know, Eddie Hearn is very charismatic. He knows what to say, when to say things on camera, but like sometimes he puts his foot in his mouth. Okay. Yes, you're a promoter of sports. You're supposed to make the most money possible. But the UK, it should be in the UK. Okay. Now that's a whole different issue, and that's about morals. No, it won't make the amount of money that it would make in Saudi Arabia because Saudi Arabia is willing to put that up, you know. And they didn't care. Eddie Hearn didn't care what DAZN thought primarily because they weren't the ones that were putting up that hunk of money just for being held there. So it was DAZN, Saudi Arabia, and Matchroom combined with this particular money together. So he knew he had other partners that was going to override what DAZN's feelings were for having it in Saudi Arabia. So now he doesn't care where it's going to be. As long as it's aired on American television, it doesn't have to be in America. You know what I'm saying? Because us as Americans are still going to buy the app. We're still going to see that fight on DAZN if they fight. So that's not the issue. The issue is the locals in the UK. I told a friend of mine, like, hey, if it's in London, I'm going. Okay? That person know who they are. If I'm going there, if that fight is going to be held, or actually the next Joshua fight, I'm going. But especially a fight between Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. And given if Fury beats Deontay Wilder, if he takes out Deontay Wilder, takes that WBC belt, of course that's going to be the next fight looked at. Now they're going to only deal with Fury. It won't be any talks about Deontay Wilder. He's a guy that eventually got outboxed. He should have learned how to box more. Okay, the end of the story. That scenario was already there and it's been proven. Cool. There's no more Wilder. Whatever. Now there's Tyson Fury. Where's Fury from? He's from the UK. Where's Anthony Joshua from? He's from the UK. Anthony Joshua himself stated, yes, imagine the local kids growing up seeing two local guys that came from this area fighting in London, or in the UK rather. Imagine how they would feel. Imagine what impact that would have on them, being children or kids, right? Growing up. It would heighten their expectations of doing whatever they wanted to do, especially if it was in the sport of boxing. Right? And overall, it's just iconic. And one of those things where you can never duplicate because you have the undisputed heavyweight championship of the world going down in the UK, and both champions are British. And these are the words of Anthony Joshua, mind you. Anthony Joshua wanted that for that reason. Yes, it should be in London because Tyson Fury's from Britain, and I'm from Britain, or I'm from the UK, or whatnot. So yes, it should be here, and the reasons I just explained. Okay, so why would it be in Saudi Arabia? Now this is Anthony Joshua's words. What's the problem? The problem comes in at Eddie Hearn wanting to have it in Saudi Arabia, and Anthony Joshua already speaking on it, and he's saying something totally different. No, it should be in the UK, right? Now, so we have two different people saying totally two different things, a promoter and a fighter. You see how this clashes. It's weird. I know, of course, Eddie has a sweet tongue. Eddie's going to come to Anthony Joshua like, look at all the fucking bloody money, mate. Look at all this shit. It's twice as much. It's twice as nice. It's so nice. We have to do it twice. He'll put the stank on it and get to talking to Anthony, and Anthony will probably just say, you know what, fuck it, let's do it there. But what does Anthony Joshua primarily want? He's already said it. If Tyson Fury wins, he would want that fight to be in the UK. Okay? Bottom line. Right? So, just like I'll give you another example. When Anthony Joshua got upset by Andy Ruiz, where was the first place Anthony Joshua wanted to fight? Madison Square Garden. He wanted to go back to the scene of the crime where it happened and where it all began. Where the reason he wanted to go there in the first place, to invade America. And it made so much sense. Morally, right? He wanted to show integrity. Like, look, I got upset. I owe it to the American fans to come back over there. I sold out. We broke numbers. Me and this guy, this replacement, we still broke numbers. Well, even though that was thanks to Jarrell Miller, before he popped dirty. But they did break numbers, right? So he owed it to the fans. Like, no, I want to go back. What happened with Eddie, though? Eddie talked him into having the fight in Saudi Arabia. Why? Because of the money. Okay? So it's one of those things where, like, people didn't feel my pain when I'm like, no, Joshua should fight over here. He should redeem that here. I don't care if it's in Madison Square Garden, but it has to be in the Americas. So he can show the American fans that, like, hey, I can still do this. I can beat this guy. I had an off night, but I'm doing it for the American fans. Right? A lot of people in the UK said he should go back to the UK. No, he shouldn't go back to the UK, right? Now the UK fans, you guys should understand what I was going through as a fan of that particular fight, right? And the scenario and the things that he wanted to do. So I was fans of his plans, right? And I'm also fans, and I can also empathize with the fact that Joshua wants it in the UK rather than some other place. Eddie Hearn wants it in some other place solely based on money, but it makes no sense. Morally, it makes no sense, right? Because that fight should be in the UK. UK fight, UK champions on UK soil. So I can understand what people mean. Now you guys see what I went through when they decided to go to Saudi Arabia. Sure, I'm down for anybody making money because like Wilder said, they risked their lives in there. I get it. But at the end of the day, certain things are not solely based on money. Okay, there are other factors, and those other factors should be considered and definitely heard, and a lot of times obeyed. Some things should just be a given, like, no, that's a no-brainer. We can read that with our eyes closed. That fight's going to be in the UK. Not but nothing. It should be in the UK, and I think Eddie should really be more attentive to what Joshua wants. And I think they can work together a lot better because you can tell that what a fighter wants because he'll have an interview and then we'll know what the promoter wants, just like in this situation. Because, of course, like, again, we have two different stories. So I think these guys need to get together, or at least Eddie needs to really think about what Anthony Joshua wants, then make comments like that. You know what I mean? And that shows that he's considerate towards his fighter and what his fighter wants, instead of what he can do for his fighter, right? But anyway, you guys tell me what you think about Eddie Hearn's comments about the potential Tyson Fury versus Anthony Joshua fight being in Saudi Arabia instead of the UK. Of course, please subscribe, and you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.